Let's talk bricks and mortar now. Global property investment is expected to rise 26% on an annualized basis this year. That's according to real estate advisors Cushman & Wakefield. Hong Kong, they think, is leading Asia's office market recovery. Let's get to Glenn Rufrano. He is president and CEO at Cushman & Wakefield, joining us in a first on CNBC interview around the desk here at the SGX. Glenn, good to see you. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so business looks like it's picking up.
It's picking up, but let's talk about the bar. It's picking up over very tough low years in 2008 and 2009.
The low base effect?
The low base effect. Right. 2010 is coming back. It's coming back strong from that low base, and it's coming back for a variety of reasons globally, most related to capital.
Okay, exactly. Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Could it partly be this QE2 driven wall of money that we've been talking about for weeks now? Mm-hmm. How much of that is finding its way into bricks and mortar, into emerging parts of the world, including Asia?
A significant part. A significant part in the debt markets. The United States debt markets have come back to life. You can borrow at very reasonable rates today on a 10-year basis, and that money also trickles out throughout Europe, more on a floating rate basis than a fixed rate basis. But that low cost of capital is absolutely part of the driver for the capital markets in real estate, and will continue to be.
In the last couple of weeks, though, we have seen some movement on the 30-year. What's happening with mortgage rates seems to be a rising trend. Does that threaten to derail the recovery we are seeing in the U.S. housing market, at least?
The 10-year going from 2.5 to 3.4 is a significant change over a short period of time. In the residential market, which is very much different from commercial, it will have an effect. It absolutely will have an effect. Our residential market in the States is still flat to down in many of our markets, and increasing interest rates will not help that.
So you wouldn't be an investor in that market for some time?
I would be very cautious in the residential housing market in the United States. Right. And I know around the world there are a lot of people trying to bring money in. I think you have to be very cautious.
All right, conversely, you're pretty bullish on the commercial side, especially out here in Asia, Hong Kong specifically. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, Asia has led in investments on a global basis. And if I gave you a benchmark, in 2007, there were $300 billion of sales in Asia. Those are properties over $10 million. In 2009, which was a very generally low point, in Asia you still had 75% of that sale activity, very high. In the United States, it was only 10% in 2009 of the 2007 production. So Asia has been very strong. As capital has moved out of Asia, the Asian capital has taken it up. You know, the strength here has moved into the property market and continues in 2010.
Where do you see commercial property going? Because obviously prices, when we talk about property in Singapore, Hong Kong, China, everyone keeps talking about this mini bubble that seems to be happening. But office and commercial properties are a little bit different, aren't they?
They are. Hong Kong prices have almost doubled in the last 3 years. But the rents are down, so their prices are still low relative to the highs, and they're still low relative to replacement cost. And what we care a lot about real estate is replacement cost. Can you build a building? If you could buy buildings at less than what you can build them for, generally over time you've done all right, and that's still the case, even in Hong Kong.
I guess Hong Kong, Singapore, China are all the poster children, if you will, the property boom out here in Asia. But let me put this to you, Glenn. How attractive is Japan's real estate market right now? Because a lot of people say that valuations compared to elsewhere in Asia are much lower and the returns are less volatile. It seems like a lot of big Asian investors are starting to put money to work there now.
I think Tokyo is very attractive. You know, there's this, Paul Volcker at one point said, when you're in a storm, you get into the biggest ship. I think real estate investors realize we're still in a bit of a storm. Tokyo is a great safe haven for that ship, and there's an enormous amount of capital who would focus on Tokyo today, not to invest and make a profit over 1 or 2 years, but over 10 years.
I'm still puzzled as to why rents haven't really caught up in the office space. We keep hearing about businesses relocating over here, the amount of investment banks expanding their operations. Why are rents not higher?
I think you'll see them higher, and I think you'll see them very, very quickly. This crisis that we're in was not an overbuilding crisis, which is the problem we had in the 1995 era. We built too much space. This crisis is lack of demand. You don't see cranes. And so as demand starts to increase, rents will go up very quickly because there's no new production.
And is the real estate investment trust one of the best vehicles to get in if you don't want to buy the actual physical asset?
I think it's a terrific...
Does that remain one of the best choices for investors?
It is, and it's proved itself much more resilient this last time around. The real estate investment trusts around the globe, Asia, Europe, the United States, all recapitalized re-equitized quicker than any other form of real estate vehicle. So not only is it a good vehicle because it securitizes and lets the person buy a security in a small amount, it has capital availability that the private investor may not have.
And if you're looking at a turn in rents, commercial rents, very soon, sounds like now would be the right time to get in to REITs to try and take advantage of this increased securitization of cash flows, what you're talking about, from rentals, right?
I would agree with that, but you may be 6 months late. The market's always ahead of that. REITs have gone up fairly dramatically in the last 6 months. Still some room, but it's not an open forum.
Good to know.
Glenn, we very much enjoyed our conversation with you. Come back and visit us again. Glenn Rafrano, President and CEO of Cushman & Wakefield.